What up, what up, what up, and welcome, everybody. Welcome. Man, listen, all right. You know, we're getting nearer and nearer this election. I'll be honest with you, I might have been wrong about the Joe Biden prediction. Just being real. I might have flat out just been fucking wrong about this when it comes down to it. You know, turn this up a little bit. There we go. All right, I think that's a little better. That's a little better. All right, so I think I think Trump might pull this one out. You know what I'm saying? He might actually win hard enough to overdo their fucking cheating when it comes down to it. But I wanted to stand here and react to this Nick Fuentes epic rant on the Philadelphia riots. Now, here's the thing. I don't really have a squabble with, you know what I'm saying, like Nick Fuentes as a whole. I like a lot of his political views. I like a lot of what he says, right? I think, he's on the money with a lot of shit. And honestly, like if I had an opportunity, I'd love to have a conversation with him. Like legitimately, I really would. Because I think that legit, he's like a lot of these YouTubers out here, he just doesn't have the math, behind what he's saying. And like I could probably reassure him about what he's talking about and give him reasons on why it is that he's right. All right, about a lot of the stuff that he speaks on. And me and him's kind of on the same level on that paleo-conservative mentality. Now, with that being said, I wanted to stand here and, show you this Thomas Jefferson quote, right? It said, "Timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the boisterous seas of liberty." And that's some real shit. You know what I'm saying? It's been said with tempestuous seas of liberty. It's the original quote that I read, but this will work. You know what I mean? The problem is that a lot of people would prefer despotism. They would prefer tyranny to standing up and dealing with the freedoms that we have been given. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the mentality behind a lot of this shit when it really gets put down on the real mental as far as stuff's concerned. Right? And I kind of want to stand here and approach this from this mentality that I think freedom is of the utmost, right? Like if we don't have freedom, there ain't nothing to it. And I get a lot of these people's mentals about, oh man, da 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 da, fucking these people are career criminals and all this shit. Like I feel you, all right? There's a lot of career criminals out here. There's a lot of bad dudes in these neck of the woods. There's a lot of these thugs and gangsters who legitimately, have been bred to be different than the suburban lifestyles that most Americans are accustomed to. And I'll be honest with you, coming from the Appalachians and from the mountains, most white people are kind of like that too, right? Like we're the type of individuals like, we don't trust the law. We don't like the fucking cops. We don't like dealing with the fucking government. We don't want these individuals around us in our lives and things of this nature. And we don't like having to deal by the rules of what city folks and suburbanites live by. We're like, look, we just want to get through and deal with our lives and live the way we want to live and not have to answer to you. And that's something that I think is sorely missing with a lot of what these individuals are talking about these days. So without further ado, man, let's get to this video. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna play this out a little bit and stand here and get to where it needs to be. And we're going to stand here and have a conversation about this, like really when it comes down to it. Because I think there's a lot of points where like I don't want to stand here and be called a racist. But on the same point, I also don't want to be a fucking racist. And I think that's kind of important.
But we're going to move on and talk about the riots in Philadelphia. And I got to tell you, I'm loving it. I'm loving the riots in Philadelphia. Not because people are getting hurt and businesses are being destroyed. I don't like that. But I do like it because this is happening 6 days before the presidential election. And it's happening in a swing state. And it's also happening all over the country. I don't know if you saw this, but there were riots in New York City. There were riots in Los Angeles. There were riots in many cities last night as a result of this killing. Lots of looting, lots of vandalism. And I see that, and I think this is perfect timing. Once again, it's meme magic. Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying, Trump getting coronavirus, magically recovering. Then you get these riots a week out, plus Minneapolis. The epicenter of George Floyd was in Minneapolis, and then Kenosha, and then Lansing, and now Philadelphia. I mean, this is meme magic. So I'll read you this report about where we are tonight. There were widespread riots last night, and now there's going to be more tonight. So this is from Fox News. It says, quote, Philadelphia imposed a citywide curfew on Wednesday after 2 nights of unrest that saw violent clashes between demonstrators and police, and businesses ransacked and vandalized amid unrest over the fatal shooting of a black man. By the way, I love how they I saw like a T-Mobile store get looted, and a Walmart get looted, and a dollar store get looted. And that's not a demonstration. That's just coordinated crime. That's organized crime, right? Or I don't know, spontaneous, disorganized crime.
Yeah, like spontaneous, disorganized crime is probably the best way to describe it. All right, so let's talk about this, right? Because let me be real with you. This is a problem that has been a long time coming, all right? And legitimately, it has, and I've told y'all this 1,000 fucking times, and I'm gonna say it 1,000 times more. This has way more to do with the fact that, like, legitimately, we've made life illegal in these neighborhoods, right? When you have something like, I don't know, it's like 1 in 3 black fathers go to jail for fucking child support, and they're literally at the level where they've all fucking had all their industry and the jobs that they went to these cities for stripped out. This is something that you might want to have a conversation about, because when you breed criminality, it's what you're doing, is you're breeding criminality, right? You're standing here and you're going, look, if you don't come up with all fucking money, you're going to jail, right? And you can't make enough money to survive after they take out what you're owed. You're gonna turn to crime, and then like you get caught, you go to jail, you come out, you still have that bill on your back, and the bill's been building. And by the way, if you come out of jail with a child support debt, on average you go back to jail 4 more fucking times. Maybe we need to have a conversation about our fucking system as a whole and how we're dealing with things, because I think that's extremely important in this conversation. Because when you have men lose their jobs and you give women money and tell them to throw them on the fucking street and they get more, maybe, just maybe, that's going to breed these type of criminal behaviors. And it's going to breed these type of criminal elements in your fucking neck of the woods. Because all these moms live in rented fucking houses, so they have no stake in their neighborhood. And all the dads don't have the opportunity to be able to build wealth the way they need to. Because it's a constant state of playing catch up all the fucking time. Like, could you imagine getting your fucking check, and after the 30% the tax man takes out, they run your shit for another 50%? Could you imagine that? And then trying to survive after that? It will drive you fucking insane. You literally will just feel like putting a gun in your mouth and getting it done. Which, by the way, is why it is that a lot of men are committing suicide right now. Maybe we need to have this conversation as a whole, right? Maybe, just maybe, we need to talk about how it is we're handling our welfare situation. Because I'm going to tell you what, in PA in particular, I don't know how it is in other states, but in Pennsylvania, if a woman hops on fucking welfare, the dude got to pay that shit back, right? And you're talking about individuals who are barely educated to begin with. 17% of all fucking high school graduates can't read. And a lot of these individuals didn't even graduate high school. There's a lot of bullshit going on. There's single motherfucking neighborhoods. Man, we're talking 77%, 80, 90% of the fucking kids are being born to single moms. Right? Last time I looked, it was 78% nationwide for blacks, right, are being born to single moms. So you take out all the suburban people, you're talking 90, 95%. Man, listen, this is something you need to have a conversation about at the end of the day. Because it's not something you can just write off and go, oh man, fucking Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that, legit, we're standing here still treating women as if they're fucking normal citizens of this nation. And we're not addressing any of the real problems that we've created with our legislation and our fucking criminal fucking code. That's really where the hell this is. But we don't want to talk about the fucking macro. We only want to talk about the police and their response to it. Because the night before that, fucking the baby's mom was going, go lock his ass the fuck up. And the next day, this motherfucker gets shot, and all of a sudden, it's hands across America. Every one of these dudes who got shot by the police had a fucking child support charge. You know what I'm saying? Let's really have this conversation. Let's really get this the fuck done and get to where we need to get to.
But the idea that that was a demonstration, I don't think there was anything that was a demonstration last night. Maybe there was something like a demonstration on Monday, but everything that I saw yesterday was just looting and criminality and other forms of violence. Anyway, it says the curfew will run from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Thursday. Businesses were notified in a message from the city managing director's office. Grocery stores, restaurants, and pharmacies will be allowed to operate delivery services after 9 p.m. Many took to the streets on Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning to protest the killing of Walter Wallace Jr. by 2 police officers. Video footage of the shooting captured by a bystander unleashed a new wave of protests accompanied by riots and looting. Or was it really more like unleashed riots and looting accompanied by some sporadic protests? I think that's actually more fitting. Violence was reported Tuesday night as 15 people were shot, including a 15-year-old girl, and up to 1,000 people descended on the Port Richmond neighborhood where they ransacked multiple businesses, according to authorities. In total, 81 people were arrested overnight, including 53 people on suspicion of burglary and 8 others accused of assaulting police officers. About 23 officers received treatment for their injuries. Officers have been pelted with various objects, including bricks, rocks, and other projectiles. Some officers have been doused with what appeared to be blood. Authorities have received 297 reports of looting. Videos and images posted to social media showed people running in and out of businesses carrying clothes, electronics, and other merchandise. In addition, authorities reported 9 ATM explosions and damage to 9 police vehicles. Now get this. The police commissioner, Danielle Outlaw, said, quote, "What we saw yesterday throughout our city had nothing to do with the protests. The widespread lawlessness, including the burglary and looting of area businesses, serves no purposes whatsoever." And I just can't believe how obtuse these people are. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm with your ideology. I'll be honest with you. I'm fully behind that ideology as well. Like, the way the news reports on things is fucking garbage. Legitimately, like, you need to call a spade for what the fuck it is. Like, that's kind of where I get down. We need to call a spade for what the fuck it is. The dude who ran at the fucking knife, ran at the cops with a knife, legit deserve to die. Like, it is what it is. Like, you don't run at anybody with a gun when you have a fucking knife. Legit. Like, it's the dumbest shit ever. Like, man, listen, you are literally putting your life in their fucking hands at that point. And if they shoot you, it's your fucking fault. Like, it's really simple. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Actually, you live by the sword, you die by a bullet at this point. That's really where we are with that. I have no issue with that. And I have no issue. Like, these goddamn looters and shit, this needs to fucking stop. Like, this is the dumbest shit ever. And the fact that the goddamn news are calling them demonstrators and trying to separate the demonstrators and the looters, like, oh, the looters are just opportunists, da-da-da-da. Like, get fucked. Get fucked, you motherfuckers. Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my whole fucking life. It's so fucking stupid. All right, but let's keep banging on this.
Maybe they're obtuse. Maybe they're willingly blind to what's going on. But how could you say that this has nothing to do with the protests? Just as a matter of fact, we know that that's not true. As a matter of fact, we know that these riots, the looting, all of that always accompanies these claims about police-involved killings of black men. So just as a matter of fact, we know that that's not true. When George Floyd gets kneeled on, it's riots and looting. When Rayshard Brooks gets killed, it's riots and looting. When Ahmaud Arbery gets killed, it's riots and looting. When we know that that's not true. It has everything to do with this. Every time you see a so-called unarmed or armed black man getting killed by police, and there's a demonstration, there's rioting, there's looting, there's criminality. But what's more, it's not only that those things coincide every time, it's not only that you always get rioting and looting, but what's more is the rioting and looting is actually 100% a part of what they are trying to do. What this is a hostage situation. Do you think anybody would care about Black Lives Matter if they weren't destroying the downtowns of every major city? If they weren't looting businesses and shooting and running over police? Of course not. The criminality, the violence.
Now that's another good point. Legit. It's he literally said it's a hostage situation, right? It's like legit. Either you're gonna give us what we want, or we're gonna throw a hissy fit and burn the fucking city down and loot and rob all your fucking stores. That's not wrong. Legit, he's not wrong about that. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking, these are the military fucking aspect of this shit. They are the physical goons behind it. They're the fucking brown shirts. They're the black shirts. They're the individuals who are out here, the night of the long knife things. That's who they are. They're the fucking Reichstag motherfuckers. That's what these people are. Get nothing misunderstood. They are the shock troops sent out. And, they know that it's going to happen, and they fucking bank on it fucking happening when it comes down to it.
The vandalism, the destruction of property is all a part of the political agenda. It's a form of intimidation. Now, in a lot of cases, the people that are doing the looting are not doing it for that reason. But the organizers know that that's going to happen. They're bringing down this sort of harsh consequence on the cities in order to effectively blackmail them into giving concessions. Police departments, city governments, this is what's happened all across the country. Nobody really cared about Black Lives Matter for a long time until they started blowing up city blocks again, like they were doing.
And again, we're missing the other half of this. Legit. What this is, legitimately, is our inability to have a conversation about what women are doing to their fucking communities. We refuse to have this conversation. It was the kid's mom who called the fucking cops on him. Legit. There's always a woman involved in these situations, and we fucking refuse to have a conversation about it. Can we please talk about their fucking role in this? They are the individuals who are causing this fucking bullshit because of the fact that we cannot sit here and address any of the shit that they're doing is why we are here where we are. Because motherfuckers are all over here losing their mind going, we can't fucking survive. And everybody standing here going like, oh fucking, what do we do? Well, I guess we need to get rid of the police. How about no? How about fucking no? How about you let men run their fucking households? How about that one? How about we don't give out money to women? We give money out to the dude, and we tell the broad, well, if you want the money, looks like you better be a family. If not, you might want to give up your fucking kid or have an abortion. One of the fucking two. Legit. You know what I'm saying? What's more important, your freedom or your motherfucking goddamn fucking kid? And I bet you 10 times out of 10, they're going to go, my freedom. Legitimately. And I'm going to laugh my fucking ass off as, watch what women really fucking are. Like, real shit. Let's have this conversation and talk this shit the fuck out.
6 years ago, or for however long ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And more than that, on an even deeper level, black people feel entitled. They feel justified in doing this because the system is racist. Of course, this has everything to do with the message of Black Lives Matter. Even if you don't buy it, that it's part of a political agenda, that the looting is occurring, the black people that are out there doing the looting, and that's what it is. It's black people in West Philadelphia. It's black people looting the Mag Mile from the South Side. It's black people in LA and in Baltimore and Kenosha and Minneapolis. When they're looting, that criminality is taking place because they feel justified.
Get nothing misunderstood, all right? Like in fucking Milwaukee and St. Paul, legit, it was mostly all fucking white people looting up there, all right? Like and out in LA as well, and in Philly too. I mean, but Philly, it was many more black people because it's a black neighborhood, it's a black area, legit. You know what I'm saying? Like Pennsylvania's a little different than a lot of states. A lot of y'all states, y'all actually have white people who live inside of the cities. We don't have that. White people don't live inside of the cities of the fucking Northeast, right? We just don't, unless you're talking about like Boston, right? But you start getting like Jersey, Philly, Baltimore, I'm trying to think here, like New York, you know, a lot of the boroughs. Yo, you won't see another white person. You go in, legit, you're in a different fucking country. Like that's just some real shit. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, get nothing misunderstood. There's a lot of white folks out there looting too. A lot of college leftist piece of shit fucking kids. And fuck capitalism, down with capitalism. Ooh, I got an iPhone. Yeah, fuck you. Look, God, I fucking hate that shit. I hate fucking leftists so fucking much.
Black Lives Matter tells them that you don't have any responsibility to the system. In fact, you have a legitimate grievance against the system. The only way for that to be rectified is to destroy the current system, to disregard the current system. The system owes you something. It's all part of that. The people that are going out there and they're stealing and whatever, they've been given license to do this because blacks have complete and total moral hazard here. They've been given a pass on everything. You can't hold them accountable for the law. You can't arrest them. You can't chase them. If they're trying to stab, tase, or shoot you, you can't kill them as the police. And then when they go and blow up the city, there's no consequences. They've been given total license because the message of Black Lives Matter is that black people don't have to play by the same rules as anybody else. Black people don't have the expectations that everybody else does. It has everything to do with Black Lives Matter. And what's more, you know, they're saying it's got nothing to do with the protests. What protests?
Well, yeah, man, but that's been the message for years, though, hasn't it? Legit, that's been the message forever. You know, is that like, oh, you know, this poor black person, you know what I'm saying? They're not able to fucking get by inside of our system, and, you know, it's systemic racism and all that fucking retarded bullshit or whatever. But, like, this is something we've bred into these individuals' minds forever. Legitimately. Like, we've been saying this forever to these motherfuckers. And again, in particular, like, so this is the problem, right? This is where it really is, okay? White men are the only ones who are responsible in this society, right? And maybe Puerto Ricans, right? Legit, because like they get treated like white people because they look like Italians or, you know, I mean, Greeks. The problem is like, yeah, like individuals like that, we get treated as, you know, I mean, human beings. Like we get treated as full-grown adults. But when you start talking about like the social hierarchy and shit, you know, where you start going, oh man, you know, like these people are being, you know, I mean, oppressed and it's systemic racism keeping them down. And I think actually a whole lot of that Puerto Rican shit has to do with the Cubans coming here, like rejecting communism. So like they became adults because they came here for freedom. When you start talking about white women, and fucking black men, it's all like, oh, it's systemic racism and shit. And the problem is that, like, you know, up until the 1970s, and I hear this story constantly, right? Because, you know, I talk to old black dudes and shit. We sit and have conversations, right? Now, I get along with them, most, you know, 98% of the fucking time. Because, like, you know, we come from the same, we worked in the same places, right? You know, we all worked in factories and mills and the old timers sitting there hanging out. And I have a really old school mentality about things. I'm sitting there cutting on the dude with the skinny jeans on and this fucking weirdo ass fucking haircut, and the old man's laughing his ass off, and I'm telling the kid pull his fucking pants up, right? So like you get on this level with these motherfuckers, right? And they'll start telling you stories about how like, oh man, you know, their family owned fucking houses and blocks and land in fucking, you know, Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or fucking Baltimore, whatever, back in the 70s. And then, like, you hear the stories about where they are today, where all, you know, their kids are all, like, you know, running around ducking from the fucking cops, and, you know, like, nobody's doing well, nobody's going to college, right? And they're not being successful. And you start hearing about, oh, man, like, hey, you had a kid, but it's female, and then fucking, like, yo, just the child support got a hold of him, he lost his job, fucking da-da-da-da. And this is always the fucking story. Right, it's always the downfall of the entire thing, right? He's like, I was like, what happened to the houses? Like, oh man, you know, fucking once Section 8 came in, you know, they drove the fucking prices of rent down, then they drove the prices of rent to fuck up, you know, and it just fucked up the entire community, and then individuals stopped caring about shit, and they're tearing houses up, and like it's a pain in the ass because they don't care about the fucking places while they're renting them and da 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 da, you know, and it's always women. Like, at what point do we address this conversation? At what point do we have this talk? Like, do we just keep going, man, like, yo, look, oh, the problem, you know, is fucking da-da-da-da. Like, yo, can we talk about the fucking elephant in the fucking room? Or we're going to keep just sitting here and addressing it like, it ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Not a big deal. Like, for the love of God, can we fucking talk about this shit? It's fucking annoying as fuck.
What protest? I'm seeing hundreds or thousands of people in the streets, and all I'm seeing is the looting and the riots and so on. It has nothing to do with the protests. Of course it has to do with that. It has everything to do with that. We know that. But this is the lawlessness that goes on. It's another night, another city destroyed. And we went on and on about this the other night. The silver lining is that this is going to bring us a little bit closer to winning the election. My only hope is that people in Pennsylvania are watching Philadelphia be destroyed, and they're saying, yeah, I don't want more of that. I don't want, Joe Biden, who is down with Black Lives Matter, to be president for 4 years. Hopefully people across the country are looking at that and saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter is riots. BLM is not protests, it's riots. I will add, though, what's different tonight is we found out about the person who is at the center of all of this. The protests, the riots, the looting, the whole, whatever you want to call it. This Walter Wallace guy, he's the guy that kicked all of this off. He is the one who on Monday was shot by police after he charged them with a knife. And that's what was caught on video that has sparked all this outrage, and that's why people are stealing phones and everything. But I looked into Walter Wallace a little bit just out of curiosity, and I found something very interesting. The guy's a total criminal. Not only in the instance where he shot on video, but his entire life. People are trying to spin this as it's about mental illness. People are starting to meme this already, that Walter Wallace, well, he only charged the police with a knife because he's mentally ill. They say he's bipolar. He's bipolar. That's why he charged the police with a knife, and that's why the police were not justified in shooting him as he charged them with a knife because, well, he was bipolar, they say. But it goes a little deeper here. This is from a local source. It says, quote, "We are learning more about Walter Wallace Jr., the man who was shot by Philadelphia police on Monday. Wallace was an aspiring rapper with social media accounts filled with videos. Guns are a central theme as he rhymes about shooting people, including police. But his videos also include songs about social causes and police injustice." Oh, okay. Court records show Wallace was currently awaiting trial for allegedly threatening to shoot a woman and her house up. In 2017, he pled guilty to robbery, assault, and possessing an instrument of crime after kicking down the door of another woman and putting a gun to her head. He was sentenced to 11 to 23 months behind bars. And in 2013, he pled guilty to assault and resisting arrest after punching a police officer in the face. So this is who we're rioting over.
Let me just say, Philly's a different type of place. It's legit. Yo, in PA in general, like most of these cities and whatnot, they're very old school. All right. To the point where, legitimately, fucking, you'll fight with the cops in Miller Street. We used to throw bricks at fucking cop cars when we were younger. Nobody cared. It is, no one has any respect for the police where the fuck we come from. We all understand what the purpose of them are. The purpose of the police is to protect weak people. All right? They're not there to protect you or me or, anybody who's already armed and already knows how to fight and take care of themselves. They're not there for that. They're not there to prevent crime. All right? They are there legitimately to be there to save a fucking hoe from getting smacked in the face when she cheats on a dude, and they're there to fucking be able to make sure to they catch the burglar who robs the old person's home. That's what they're there for. They are not there to prevent crime, because they don't. All right, they literally cause more crime than they're fucking worth for the most part, especially in this Commonwealth state. They're a fucking massive pain in the dick. It's a constant state of individuals pulling motherfuckers over for no goddamn reason and handing out tickets and citations and fines, and individuals who can't afford to fucking pay them going to fucking jail behind them, and they're fucking, they're dumb. Fucking cops, we need about a quarter of the cops that we have right now at this point. Legitimately. I think we should just have state police, and that's it. Nothing more. And that should be the only police we have. We don't need local law enforcement, and we don't want local law enforcement. Legit. They're a fucking pain in the ass, and I'll be honest with you, the cops in my neck of the woods, they're fucking cool. Nobody bothers with anybody. They don't, it's kind of on that whatever level. They understand, if the city's full of crime, it's a pain in the ass to live there. Life fucking sucks. They get it. We all get it. Everybody understands what it is. So they just, they don't act like fucking shitheads. It's a really basic ass thing. You know, like, again, they're not there to prevent crime. They're humans, garbage collectors. That's what fucking police are. And especially in cities. And that's what this city did. That's what the city cop did. They came up and they fucking collected the human garbage. You know, and having that conversation is a pain in the fucking ass. But again, all this would not be fucking necessary, legitimately, if the cops weren't there in the first place. Because you know what would have happened? This kid's uncle would have grabbed a hold of him and beaten the fucking snot out of him. All right? When he pulled a knife on his fucking mother, somebody in the neighborhood would have went and ran in his house and beat his fucking ass. Legit. And that's what would have happened. But the problem is that the fucking cops are there constantly. All right, everybody fucking calls them for every little dumb thing that fucking happens. What this kid needed was beaten savagely and put back in his fucking place where he belonged. Actually, he should have technically been in fucking jail. Like, at the moment, fucking shooting up somebody's fucking house. Like, legit, if they had any evidence in that case, that kid should not have been fucking free. But whatever. Let's keep fucking banging on this joint.
To be clear, this is what all of this allegedly is about, that this person was shot by police. And now he's inspired more black people to follow in his footsteps and commit crimes and rob places. At what point do you realize that this segment of the population is a net negative? That this segment of the population, and it's not all black people, but it's specifically these criminal black people, clearly, in and out of jail, violent, flagrantly abuse the law, steal, just completely disregard orderliness, civilization, the law. At what point do we realize that that part of the population is a detriment and useless? And that population belongs in jail indefinitely. That population belongs behind bars. This guy should have never seen the light of day. He gets put in jail in 2013 for punching a police officer in the face. He's put in jail in 2017 for putting a gun to a woman's head after kicking down her door. He gets out of jail and then he's awaiting trial for threatening to shoot up another woman's house. Is somebody like this able to be reformed? Is somebody like this able to be rehabilitated? Everything that Black Lives Matter is calling for is that somebody like...
I'm going to tell you what. I've worked with many dudes legitimately who had way worse rap sheets than that. So yeah, they're able to be reformed and they're able to, go through their lives and live their lives in a normal manner. If you can get away from that fucking situation. If you can find something that's worth living for. Legit. But again, we get back to, you have to take the foot off of the neck of the people. Like, it has to happen at some point. Let me explain why the inner city is as fucked up as what it is, okay? Number one, with the single mother epidemic, you have the problem of needing 2 houses for every family, right? Where, the mom needs a house and the dad needs a house. Now you just double the cost of fucking housing, right? On top of that, you have massive amounts of unemployment due to the fact that individuals are forced to pay bills that they're not able to afford on a constant basis, and it never stops. It's not like, I can get rid of my cable, or I can get rid of my car, I can get rid of my fucking, my house, I can, sleep in the park, whatever. No, it doesn't matter. No matter what happens, the bill of child support never goes the fuck away. Like, it just keeps racking on you, right? And instead of standing here going like, yo, look, man, fucking, like, these dudes, like, they need an opportunity to survive. Like, they need an opportunity to be able to build, an opportunity to be able to get credit, an opportunity to be able to get assets, things of this nature, right? And have an investment in their fucking community. We need to fucking stay out of their fucking families and not have to fucking continue to bother them on a regular basis and interfere in the households of individuals that have nothing to fucking do with anybody else. If we would just mind our fucking business, again, we get back to minding our own fucking business. I get back to the fucking 400,000 kids put into foster care in a fucking year in America last year, right? Every fucking year, 400,000 children are put into fucking foster care. Again, we need to mind our fucking business, get out of other people's families. Stop worrying about your civilization. Stop worrying about your fucking society. Stop worrying about people being polite and nice. Fuck that. No one fucking cares. How about we have individuals have the opportunity to be successful and run a fucking family? Because that's really what the fuck it is we need. We don't need individuals to stand here and be polite. What we need is individuals to stand here and motherfucking be able to have the opportunity to build their lives and feed their fucking families. That's the reality of it. And in order to do that, we need to be able to check their fucking women. They need to be able to check their fucking women. They need to be able to stand there and put their fucking houses in fucking order. And when some woman cries at some fucking place, shut the fuck up. I don't fucking care. All right? Legit. Because you know what? This is how society has fucking worked for 3,000 fucking years. Legitimately, 3,000 fucking years. And we're going to change it in fucking 50 while individuals are standing here fucking starving and expect them to live up to the standards of individuals who already have a 3-bedroom motherfucking duplex in the goddamn fucking suburbs. The fuck out of here. Motherfuckers who don't have shit and live in houses with pissy hallways legitimately aren't gonna fucking be able to survive in the same manner as somebody who has a split level in the motherfucking suburbs with a pool out back. They're not gonna have the same problems. So no, they can't live under the same fucking laws. Legitimately. That's really where the fuck it is. Like, yo, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, let's keep banging.
Like this, ostensibly mentally ill, just not a good fit apparently. What he needs is social work. He needs education. He needs more DEM programs. He needs more government money thrown at him to rehabilitate him. Look, being a conservative, being right-wing, is about realizing that there is evil in the world. There is chaos in the world. Probably the bottom 10% of the population is completely beyond help. And it's just a matter of managing that percentage of the population, which for whatever reason can't figure it out. They can't get along. They can't obey the laws. They can't support themselves. And as a conservative, you have to understand there will...
Again, the reason is because you continue to put bills on their fucking necks. This is the problem. All right, legit. Okay, it's like this. All right. Feminism is cute for rich white broads. Okay, like, you want to be rich and white, and, your female wants to end up, being an artist or fucking, whatever the fuck she wants to do. Gives a fuck. All right. The problem is, legit, is when you have somebody who's making 20 grand a fucking year. All right. And they're 22 years old and they're trying to fucking raise a toddler. Feminism is horrible for him and his family. This is the fucking problem. All right, legit. These are the real problems of this fucking problem of the bottom part of society, is the fact that you are literally legislating progressive fucking religious ideologies to the poorest part of the fucking society, and they can't live up to those standards. That's the reality of it when it comes down to it. That's really where it is. And we need to fucking deal with that. We need to stand here and go, yo, we shouldn't be fucking putting this weight on motherfuckers' backs who can't afford it. We shouldn't stand here and continue to tell individuals to live like, it's like Chris Rock. Chris Rock said that shit one time. He said, if you're making $10 million a year, your wife want half, you got $5 million, you ain't starving, right? But like, if you're making $30,000 and she want half, that bitch might have to go. Right? Like, yo, like, you think I'm a motherfucker moving in the back of my mama's house because you ain't happy? Like, yo, this is the fucking problem. Legitimately. You can't have these rules apply for poor people. You just can't do it. They need to have nuclear families. They need to you need to get rid of welfare. Like, yo, or give the welfare to the dude so that the female is now tied to that fucking guy. One of the fucking two. Legit, either get rid of it or give it to the fucking dude so the family stays the fuck intact. Because when apparently giving it to her isn't fucking working. And it's making a whole class of people completely dysfunctional. Legit. And it's not just black people. It's white folks too. Legit. Because a lot of those fucking white dudes who get shot in the same goddamn position. Dude who just got shot right before George Floyd fucking died. White kid out in fucking Ohio. Guess what? He got fucking shot. You know why? Because he was running from a child support warrant. Everybody here is the same fucking boat. Everyone's in the same goddamn boat over and over and over again, but they don't list it. You know why? Because it's a civil matter, but they still lock your ass up for it. We need to fucking talk about this. This is the real problem. Legit. Let's keep fucking banging.
Always be a percentage of the population that, for a variety of reasons, will fall into that category. They're infirm, they're elderly, they're indigent, they're mentally ill, they're evil, they're criminals, they're sociopaths. there is a percentage of the population that just simply must be managed. On some level, these people have to be institutionalized. The mentally ill have to be put in psychiatric facilities.
Completely agree with you. Like, yo, I've been saying this for years. Like, we need to reopen up the fucking, the wacko basket and put individuals back in there. Like, legit. Like, we need to fucking do this on all the, like, we need to do this again. Like, I don't, like, why? Because we watched a couple of movies where people, ended up, like, fucking getting hit in the eye with a goddamn needle and shit and got lobotomized. Like, we need to shut down everything because of that? No. Fuck that, all right? Like, yo, Robert De Niro is a piece of shit. I don't care about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and shit. Like, yo, we need to reopen these things because you know what? Letting these motherfuckers in the street is just breeding homelessness because they can't function in a goddamn job in a fucking employment environment. Let's keep banging.
The elderly have to be put in elderly care facilities. The homeless have to be put somewhere. And these criminals have to be put in jail.
The elderly need to be put with their fucking families. You need to take care of your elderly family members. All right? Legit. That's the whole purpose of having fucking kids. All right? You have kids so when you get old, you can live with your kids and then that's how it works, right? Like, yo, that's how you pass down generational wealth. Legitimately. Like, have you ever seen rich people? Like, yo, rich people legit have their grandparents living with them. That's how it works. All right, because like, yo, they get old. You're like, I'm gonna put you in a home. No, you don't put you in a fucking home. We're not gonna stand here and have you in your own home either, where you can stand there and burn the fucking place down because you're trying to bake cookies in the fucking living room and shit with a goddamn fucking blowtorch and shit, and a can of fucking gas and shit or some nonsense, hairspray and a lighter. Legit, no. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're going to put you in keep you in our house and love you and take care of you and make sure somebody's there for you. And that's how you pass down generational wealth. And then when they die, they pass that wealth down to their fucking kids, right? And everybody gets a fucking share and everybody gets to have that opportunity, to enjoy the spoils of that. And that's what you're supposed to fucking do. Let's stop living like this shit is unnormal, all right? Like this... Things have worked for thousands of years a certain way. The independence movement for fucking elderly people did not come out of the United States. It came out of Europe, all right, because of all the European immigrants that left back in like the 1870s through like the 1950s, right? Because like all the kids were gone, you had to take care of the elderly people and they had to become more independent. This is where all this shit came from. And now in America... like fucking it kind of just spread over here with FDR and his socialist nonsense. Old people don't need a fucking check. They need fucking their kids to take care of them. Like, let's keep going.
And the idea that it's a matter of, well, if we just put them in like Montessori schools and we do alternative learning, we'll do classroom outside today, that if we're going to do things like that, if we just pour more money in and more social workers and more psychologists and specialists and attention, that is going to go away is naive. That's a very naive way of thinking. If you're right wing, you must understand, and it's not fixed, but there is a part of the population, and it's not all, by the way, it's not all blacks and it's not even all criminals, but there's a proportion of the population which must be managed by the rest, by the state. The solution is not to change how society works to accommodate them. We should not change society to accommodate mentally ill people. We should not change society to accommodate criminals by abolishing police departments, by changing rules of engagement.
I just want to put this in here. There were 20 million people arrested last year. I'm going to say that again. 20 million people were arrested last year, okay? That's a lot of goddamn people. 20 fucking million. That's nearly 10% of the fucking population. Maybe we need to have a conversation about our fucking laws. There's 50,000 laws on the federal level or more. Nobody knows because they don't have any idea. And on the state and local level, nobody has any fucking clue how many laws there are. Possibly there's too many. Legit. Like at some point, you might want to have a conversation about some things no longer being illegal. All right. For instance, we've been having this conversation about weed. Like nobody really has a problem with weed being legal. Like it should be taken off the fucking, off the list in the federal level. Like it should be, to put on, it shouldn't be schedule anything. It should be done. Like it's just a substance at this point. It should no longer be controlled. All right, like maybe we need to like start looking at repealing some of these fucking laws. And let's talk about fucking laws and taxation and, you know what I mean, the rest of the shit that goes with this as well. Let's talk about all the regulatory fucking nonsense that's in the way of individuals starting businesses and becoming successful, right? Let's talk about all the permitting work and all the fucking garbage and all the safety precautions that are taken and the OSHA regulations and all the fucking things that go into fucking starting a goddamn business. Legit, let's have these conversations. Because legit, there's a million micro things that add up that fucking end up collapsing shit when it comes down to it. Like, yo, I bring up some of the big things, right? Child support, you know what I mean? Fucking, you know, drug laws, all this type of nonsense, right? But after that, we need to have a conversation about regulations and permitting and fucking all the little dumb minutia that legit just add up to being this giant mountain in the way of you being successful. And it's something that we all need to fucking deal with and have a conversation about. There's a reason why Detroit turned into a ghost town, right? It's not because of the fact that, you know, fucking like, oh, the Union stood there and blah, 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 Republican jerk off bullshit, right? I'm Ronald Reagan and shut the fuck up, right? That's not why. All right, the reality is this. The problem is that, like, all the things that made the car industry possible, like when the Alum people stood there and tried to say that they held the copyright on the car, and Henry Ford defeated them in court, and all of a sudden the car was allowed to be made by all these people, and it freed them. And you gave freedom to people to build cars, right? And everybody started doing it. And all of a sudden cars were, you know, I mean, plentiful, and individuals had a whole bunch of different ways of doing things. And, you know, one way ended up working out, you know what I'm saying? Like GM won out of everybody, right? General Motors. But like, once they all started falling down, instead of having the opportunity to rebuild stuff and open up new shit, you ended up standing here destroying the entire thing as a whole, right? And when you did this, what happened was how do I put this? They stood here and they tried to, you know what I mean, they had all these people laid off and all these individuals, you know what I mean, needed an opportunity for economic prosperity, and they couldn't do it because the government was in the way. And then all of a sudden criminality broke out, because when you make freedom illegal, you turn everybody into a criminal. And that's the fucking problem. And that's the problem that where we're at right now, is that we have entirely too much government in front of us being able to be successful just off jump, right? Like, for instance, you know, when you have cops going around and shutting down lemonade stands and individuals who are trying to, you know, like start stuff out of their garage, and, you know, I mean, the fucking local permit officer comes around, demands his fucking payment and the taxes and all the shit, and they audit the motherfucker. And like, this should not happen for individuals trying to start off and feed their fucking families. And these are things that we're not having a conversation about because they're boring, right? You know, it's like infrastructure talk, you know, like, it's boring, you know what I mean, standing here, you know, fucking having a conversation about bridges and highways and, you know, electricity grids and all this stuff and water, you know, fucking pH levels and shit. Like, it's boring, right? It's minutia, but it's important. Nigga, you drink that water. Like, right? Like, yo, we need to have these conversations. They're important. They're more important than any of the other political conversations we really have. And having a conversation about permits and all these type of things are fucking important, right? Because it's what's really stopping individuals from being successful and breeding this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Legit. So, all right, we're going to go on for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But like, we're not going to go through this whole goddamn video. It's almost an hour already.
Engagement that police have by eliminating mandatory minimums or changing federal sentencing laws. People like this and populations like this just have to be managed so that the rest of us who know how to obey the laws and who are civil and decent can get along. Now, it's not to say that people don't commit crimes, but most people are not in and out of jail like this. They're not punching cops and then going to jail for putting guns to the heads of women and then going back to jail for... Most people are not like this. Maybe somebody makes a mistake. Somebody makes a bad decision. They fall in with the wrong crowd, whatever. People make mistakes. But you must differentiate between fundamentally these two different phenomenon. Between a normally law-abiding person who commits a crime and somebody who is a lawbreaker, who is in and out of jail, and the exception tends to be when they're not committing crimes. That's what I see when I hear about this. But instead, we're going to turn everything upside down, and now the whole country's going to become criminals. And now this guy gets shot by police, and everybody's making excuses, and of course this means a social worker should have been there to get stabbed to death or something. And the police should be abolished, and now blacks are going to go out and destroy the neighborhood, and that's okay. They're just venting their anger. And that just means that we have to make the laws less applicable to them and not enforce them and so on. Is this the solution? We have to decide as a society what we want. What do we want as a society?
I want a society legitimately that, you're not going to take my tax money and fucking give it to goddamn fucking people who don't fucking deserve it, who give up their fucking families and, kill their fucking children, and who stand here and breed criminality through their fucking, sheer raw inability to be connected to their communities. I want a society where I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to go to jail because I lose my fucking job. I want a fucking society where I could be a father and a husband and not have the fucking police and social services fucking come to my goddamn door about dumb shit. That's what I want. I don't know what it is that the rest of y'all want. I want a country where I don't have to worry about the government coming and interfering in my fucking family. And I'm pretty sure that's what everybody fucking wants, other than females and weak white dudes who fucking worship fucking broads. Legit. I think that's really where most of us are. I want a place I can raise my kids, and if I decide that I don't want them to go to your public schools, they don't have to fucking go to your public fucking schools. I want a society where I can have the freedom to raise my fucking family the way I see fit. I want a society where I don't have to worry about my fucking money being fucking taken by the goddamn government. I want a society where I don't have to worry about whether the fucking cops are going to fucking pull me over because I got to get to work a little bit quicker today because I'm running behind. That's the type of society I want. I want my freedom back. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I would like to have my freedom back. I don't want to fucking stand here and live in despotism because, you want to talk about, these fucking criminals and all this bullshit. I don't care. Legit, I don't give a fuck. Everything's up for grabs right now. Every fucking thing. And I'm with it completely. We want to remake society, let's remake it. All right, because you know what? It's been a long goddamn time since we had a real revolution in this fucking country. And maybe, just maybe, we can agree on having freedom. Rather than motherfucking worrying about whether or not we have a peaceful, harmonious society. Anyway, I'm Tom Peace from Pnoid News. Y'all know the motherfucking deal. Like, share, and subscribe, motherfuckers. Peace.